Welcome for the today's sessions. Myself Chokolingam, Department of Tribly, M. Kumarasamy College of Engineering. Today we are going to see the session on the electrical machines under the topic of synchronizing and parallel operation of synchronous generator. Okay. First we need to know what is the necessity of going for parallel operation of synchronous generator. So in earlier days we have the synchronous alternator in a large capacity, but the consumption load was very low. So the single generator itself enough to supply the entire load systems. And going on development of electrical appliances, the electrical consumption load has been increased day to day life. So therefore we are in need of additional unit to be get operated to meet out the demand of the consumers. So that's why we are going for the synchronized generator parallel operations. So we cannot parallelize the synchronous generator as like that. Reason is the generator capacity is very high. So and also the synchronous generator has the phase sequence RYB. So we need to be consider that, and the synchronous generator having the frequency generating the voltage in certain range of frequency. According in our India we are having the frequency range of 50 Hz. So that's we need to satisfy. Third thing is the voltage, the what we are generating, that should be equal at the point of paralleling. So we need to consider these three things. Okay. So here we have given the statement that the process of switching of alternator to the another alternator or with common bus bar without any interruption is called synchronization. That's the thing. The term parallel operation can be given as a synchronizations. Okay. So and the necessity conditions. First one, as I said previously, the terminal voltage of incoming machine must be same as that of bus bar voltage. That we need to be noted down. And second one is the frequency of the generated voltage of the incoming machine must be as that of bus bar frequency or the existing machine, whatever we can say it. Okay. If you are going to parallel it, if you are going to parallel it to generator, means the incoming generator must have the frequency of present generator. Otherwise, if you are going to connect the machine to the common bus bar, means you need to consider the frequency of the bus bar. Okay. And third one is phase sequence of the incoming machine must be same as that of bus bar RYB. That we need to be consider it. Okay. So we are going to do the parallel operation, but we need to know what is the advantage of having that parallel operations. The continuous supply is possible when breakdown or shutdown for maintenance of alternator in generating station. If you have one or two generator, means we can get continuous supply. So we no need to depend on the single generator. Okay, that's the only thing. If any fault occurs in any one of the machine, means the present load can be carried out by another machine without power interruptions. Depending upon the load requirement, any number of alter can be operated and remaining can be put off. That means depending on the value of consumption load, we can operate the generator, because we are not going to have the generator in equal rating. The generator may be having of different power rating. So we are, by knowing of that power rating, we can match the power. We can match with the consumer end loads. Okay, that's the thing we are going to do it. And it is economical and it improves the efficiency of the generating station. So we are having some load curve. If you look at the load curve, means there will be a normal condition and there will be a peak conditions and the lighter loader condition. Like that the waveform may be get differ time to time. So by knowing that, if we operate generators depending upon that load curve, we can get high efficiency of operation of the generator, and it would be a profitable for the power generators. Okay. Then a new alternator can be connected in parallel when the demand increases. This reduces the capital cost of the system. So if we are knowing that the total demand of the city, so we cannot put that much amount of power generation in single generator. Instead of that, if you have that much of power in terms of 2 or 3 generator, means we can connect in parallel at the time of load in presence. If load is in absence, means we can disconnect the high rated generators. Okay. So depending upon the load situation, we can operate the generator, so the efficiency and lifetime of your machine will be higher. Okay. The method of synchronization of alternators. By using of 3 method, we are doing this. One is a dark lamp method, another one is the bright lamp method, and third one is synchronoscope method. So dark lamp, bright lamp, synchronoscope. Synchronoscope is a meter which is mainly used for synchronizing of 2 alternators. So dark lamp and bright lamps are the method which used before having a synchronoscope. Okay, that's a thing. So by having of this method, what we are going to check it out means, first we will check the voltage, second one is the frequency, and third one is the phase sequence. That we are going to check it out. Okay. So first method what we are going to see is dark lamp method. So for your understanding purpose, the RYB connection has been given in the red yellow color lines. Okay. So there itself I have represented that alternator 1 as a existing alternator, alternator 2 as a incoming alternator. Like that I have given it for your understanding purpose. Okay. So this dark lamp method is done on the incoming alternator, not existing alternator. Existing alternator will be in operation. The lamp method, dark lamp method, is carried out in your incoming generator. What we are going to do means, we are going to have the lamp. Okay, we are going to have the lamp. The lamp rating will be, voltage rating of the lamp will be higher. Higher means 400 volt, because if you are wrongly connected to line, means that lamp should be have the capability of handling the stress, potential stress of 400 volt. That's why the lamp should have first condition as it should be capable of operating between 2 phases. That means it should be, its terminal voltage must be higher than the 400 volt. That's a thing. Okay. So L1 connected to the R phase, L2 connected to the Y phase, L3 connected to the B phase. B phase means the existing and incoming both B phase will be connected to the L3. Similar way, L1 and L2 are connected to R and Y respectively. Okay. Now what we are going to do? First one, alternator 1 is already connected with the bus bar, supplying the power to the load. We know that. Alternator 2 is a incoming alternator. The voltage of incoming alternator should be same to the existing alternator. That means V1 equal to V2. Same voltage. First condition. So when the voltage are in same line, means the lamp will be in dark. First condition. if voltage of incoming alternator R phase is equal to existing alternator R phase voltage, means both voltage will be cancelled, so there will not be any potential difference across the lamp, so that lamp will be dark condition, that means it won't glow. Okay, so in similar way the Y phase and B phase are correctly connected, means across the lamp, then 3 lamp will be in dark condition. Okay, in case R of existing alternator and R connection of incoming alternator is connected to the lamp 1 is correct, means the L1 lamp alone will be in dark condition. Remaining 2 phase lamp will not be in dark, it will be in brighter condition. That means it says that incoming of the R phase and the existing line Y phase are connected to the one lamp, and the existing B phase and incoming Y phase are connected to the another lamp. So the lamp will be having of potential stress of 400 volt across the each lamp. So one lamp will be in darker and another 2 lamp will be in brighter condition. So it refers that there is a connection is in wrong way. That means the sequence of the terminals are changed. So now what we have to do means we have to open the switch and we have to disconnect the lamp. The R phase, the which lamp is in dark condition, we should not touch that terminal. The other 2 lamp will be in brighter condition, so we need to change the terminal connection of these 2 lamp, brighter lamp. Again now we have to close the switch. Now if you check, now means R phase and Y phase and B phase of incoming alternator is connected to the R phase and Y phase, B phase of the existing alternator. So both the terminal voltage is 400, means the lamp will be in darker condition. Otherwise the sequence are correct, but voltage between these 2 alternator is differ by range of 2 volt or 3 volt or 5 volt or 10 volt, means according to the magnitude of that voltage the lamp brightness will be present. Simply we want to say means if there is a incoming alternator having the voltage of 400 but existing alternator having the voltage of 410, but R, Y, B sequence are connected correctly, but the difference between these alternators are having 10 volt, means that 10 volt will be appeared across each lamp and make the lamp to be get brighter. Now what we have to do in this point means, in this point we need to increase the voltage level of incoming alternator, then only it will meet out the voltage magnitude of existing alternator. So that point the 3 lamp will be comes to dark conditions. So now we have satisfied 2 conditions. And third condition, in case voltage is same, sequence is same, still lamp is going on brighter and darker and brighter and darker, means the frequency between these 2 alternators differs. That would be a third condition. So at the time what we have to do means we have to increase the speed of incoming alternator. Through that we can increase the frequency, so we can sort out that issue. So when 3 phase sequences are equal and 2 generators voltage, terminal voltage are equal, and third frequency of both alternators is equal, then lamp will be in darker condition. So that's the point we are getting it from this method. but we have some demerits. What means it is not possible to judge whether incoming alternate is faster or slower. The second one is the lamp can be dark even though the small value of voltage may present across the terminal. Okay, so we cannot go for the accuracy level, that we should know it. So that's why we are going for next method as a bright lamp method. Okay, so existing, this is a E2, that's a thing. Okay, what is the bright lamp method? So in bright lamp method, what we are going to do means we are going to do the connection similar to that of a dark lamp method, but instead of having lamp in same phase, we are going to replace it. We are going to replace the terminal of your lamp. That means one of the terminal of lamp having R, another terminal of the lamp will be connected to the Y. So similarly, the L2 lamp will be having of one terminal in Y and another terminal only in B. Like that wise, the three lamp will be interchanged phase sequence, they will be connected it. When you close the switch, there will be a 400 volt of potential stress will be appear across each terminal of your lamp. So 3 lamp will be goes on brighter condition. If it goes on brighter condition means the phase sequence what we have connected is in correct order. In case one of the lamp is going on darker means we have to interchange any one of the phase. Okay. So lamp will grow when two voltage in the phase is V square R1. V1 and V2 voltage is same. The phase sequence may say same lamp will start flickering in uniform and the switch is closed at the mid of the brightness period of the lamp. The phase sequence means first one lamp will be get lower and second lamp L2 will be get lower and third lamp L3 will be get lower. The order of the glowing is in same means we can close the switch in, that is a brightless lamp method. Okay, and third one is synchronoscope. Here if you check it out means we are taking the only two phases, that two phases is connected to your synchronoscope meter. There will be a arrow mark indicating the slow and fast. So lamp flick together is uniform. The synchronoscope consists of stator and rotor. We are having the two things. The rotor is connected to the incoming alternator and stator part is connected to the existing alternator. The pointer is attached to the rotor. The pointer will indicate the correct time of the closing of the switch. That means it should be at the middle of your scale. If it is like that means we can say that we can close the switch. If the in other cases, if the switches is not, that is the arrow mark not in the position of 12 o'clock, we should not close the switch. We have to check the arrow mark is whether goes in anti-clockwise direction or clockwise direction. When the arrow mark is in anti-clockwise direction, it represents that incoming alternator frequency is low. If arrow mark is clockwise direction, it indicates that the incoming alternator having of higher level frequency. So we have to adjust it till we are getting the needle to come in the 12 o'clock position. Once it reaches the 12 o'clock position, we can close the switch. Okay. So this is the current and power and torque graphical representation and formula for synchronizing synchronizing of the two generators. So this would be, we have to consider it. At no load condition we are closing it, so that's why there will be a voltage and everything, we need to know it. Okay. And next topic is that we are going to see two reaction theory. What is the two reaction theory means? So first we check it out, the non-salient pole. The non-salient pole alternator is air gap is uniform and armature flux and field flux vary sinusoidally. The air gap length is constant. Then the reactance that we are obtaining in the non-salient pole will be constant. So EMF, field EMF and armature EMF act upon the same magnetic circuit can be added vertically. So vectorically we can add it out. When you go for salient pole, the air gap is not uniform. The air gap length is not constant and reactance is not constant. The field and armature flux cannot be vary sinusoidally. The MMF act as the different. So two reaction theory will appear in the that is, it appear in the salient pole, not in the any other type of machines. So according to the theory of armature MMF can be divided into two components because it happens only in the armatures. So component acting along the pole axis is called direct axis. The component acting at right angle to the pole axis is called quadrature axis. So component acting along the direct axis can be magnetized or demagnetized. The component acting along quadrature axis is cross magnetization. Okay, that means the ID current will represents the magnetization current or demagnetizing the current. Only two things will be carried out by direct axis current. Quadrature axis will be makes the cross magnetizations. That means it will make to shifting of the normal positions. Okay. Here we are shown the quadrature axis line and direct axis line. The resultant offered to MMF is lowest when it is aligned with field pole flux. The direct axis. The resultant offered to the MMF is higher when it is 90 degree to the field pole flux. Okay, that is a quadrature axis. In direct axis, the air gap length is minimum. In quadrature axis, air gap length is maximum. So, based upon that, it says that air gap length is minimum, so reluctance value will be minimum. Air gap length is higher, so that's why the reluctance offered to the MMF is higher when it is 90 degree to the pole. Okay. So that's how we are getting it. Okay. So we need to calculate it direct axis and quadrature axis current. So by knowing of that only we can able to go for the other things. So that's why we are moving to the another one, that is a slip test. Okay. Through slip test we are find outing the value of ID and IQ. Okay. Slip test is performed on salient pole synchronous machine to determine the direct axis reactance and quadrature axis reactance. So we are having two reactants. So two reactants, which one will be greater means quadrature axis reactance. As in the salient pole machine, air gap is not constant like a cylindrical rotor type rotor. So reactance around the quadrature axis is differ from the reactance along the direct axis, like that they have given it, and the diagram which we have shown here is which we already got it. Okay. So the synchronous machine is driven by the separate prime mover. What we are doing means we are making the synchronous machine to driven by the separate prime mover, at the speed slightly differ from the synchronous speed. The field is open, left to open, and the voltage of the reduced magnitude and of the rated frequency is impressed across the armature terminal. So instead of giving the supply to the rotor, what we are doing means we are making the supply to be get disconnect from the field, and we are simply rotating the field winding. We are not given any single supply for the field winding. Instead of giving the field winding supply, we are giving the AC supply to the stator. Normally we give the DC supply to the field and make the field to get rotate, so we will get the AC supply. Here what we are doing means, here we are giving the AC supply with reduced magnitude but in rated frequency, but we are disconnecting the field and we are making to run the machine at the synchronous speed, but normally it will be higher than the synchronous speed. So both ends are connected to the output voltage. That means the field terminal will be connected to the CRO. The field pole and rotating magnetic flux of the winding should be rotated in same direction to avoid the measure of negative reactance. So salient pole rotor drives at the speed of NR greater than NS. At once, when the peak of the armature MMF is in the line with field pole or direct axis, the reluctance offered by the small air gap is minimum. At that instant, the impressive terminal voltage per phase divided by corresponding armature current per phase give the direct axis reactance. After one quadrature, that means we are moving the 90 degree, at the time the peak of the MMF waveform act on the interpole region or quadrature axis, the reluctance offered by the long gap is minimum. At this instant, the ratio of armature terminal voltage per phase to the corresponding armature current, same thing what we have done in the here, same thing we are doing it. So the current per phase gives the quadrature axis reactance. So this is the waveform, voltage induced across the pole open field terminal. So here what is the armature voltage, armature current. So here we are checking the field open AC voltage. So armature voltage will be somewhat equal, but when you compare to the armature current in direct axis, the current will be minimum. But when you go for the quadrature axis, the current will be in maximum. Okay. So through that we are finding out the direct axis reactance and quadrature axis reactance. So maximum voltage by minimum current, minimum voltage by maximum current. That's the thing. Okay.